Okay, so the first variation of the spider guard that we're going to take a look at is actually a fairly simple, relatively basic version, and that's the leg lasso. Now that's something we could have looked at in the last volume, but there was just so much material to cover that I wanted to save it for a separate volume, and there are some more advanced attacks that we need to look at. So the thing to understand about the leg lasso is, one, there are a few different versions of it, and each version has its own purpose. So say we're in a traditional spider guard here, I break the grip, and I come in for the leg lasso. Now, there are three types of leg lassos. There's the basic leg lasso where we're hooked behind their tricep rather. There's a deep lasso where we come in and grab their back here and pull their posture down. And then there's a very shallow lasso here, which I think in some ways is the most important because you're gonna use it the most defensively. So for example, if Stephan is, say, passing my guard here, if I just get this, now it's hard for him to continue his pass because I can create space to get back to my guard. Or if, for example, we're in De La Hiva, and Stephan stuffs my right foot between his legs and squats down low, now it can be hard to recover. This is a very bad situation about to happen. If I bring this foot onto the shoulder, I can create enough space to unwind. So the first idea we want to talk about is not only are there a few different types of leg lasso, but each one has its own purpose, and one of the main purposes of the leg lasso is as a defensive tool. If you saw the last volume where we talked about the entries, that Michael Lange guard pull, where we grab the collar, put the hand on the ground, and come here, the whole point of this guard pull is that just the foot on the shoulder, even without a lasso, makes it very hard for them to pass. They can't go to this side because I can create space and make sure my right leg is free. So from another angle, if they try to go this way and start passing, I can push and free my right leg. And if they try to go this way, I can keep the tension and follow them. So that idea that the leg lasso, whether it be shallow, medium, or deep, is a defensive tool is very important. Now one nice application of this that I learned from my good friend Jason Hunt, an awesome, very tough black belt, is when Stephan's standing, for example. The next application of the lasso is that we can actually use it to break their posture. So we break a grip, we get a lasso, and now instead of staying on my right side, I'm going to lift my hips and come down heavy to my left side. When Stephan's posture is broken like this, it's very hard for him to even think about passing. Now, one very important note on when you try to get that kind of posture, or when you try to get that kind of lasso, what I'm not doing is this, where my knee comes down but my foot comes up, stays up. What I am doing is my whole shin is going to come down like this, parallel to the ground, so that all the weight goes into Stephan's arm. So we're here, we break the grip, get a lasso, and then immediately lift our hips and get heavy here. At the same time that I'm heavy, I'm stretching the other arm out from another angle. So from this angle, we're here, we break the grip, we come in, and we get heavy here.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's not comfortable. We'll take a look a little later at how we can actually just sweep them with this, but just with this control. But the point is, not only is it a defensive tool, but we can use it to break their posture.
So Elliot, in the foot on the shoulder variation, are you hanging out there for a long time, or is it just a transitional defensive maneuver?
You can hang out there, but there aren't going to be so many attacks from there. So, very good point. I prefer to get there, not necessarily very briefly, just defensively, but I'll get there more to make sure that I can control the distance between us so that I can start getting the grips that I want. Now, and that brings up actually the third purpose of the leg lasso. So we've talked about throughout this whole series in volumes 1 and 2, we've talked about the idea when we first introduced gripping that I can't just let go and transfer to another grip, because in that transition, yes, Stephan's going to start passing and I don't have enough control. If, however, I get a leg lasso, now I know he can't pass, and specifically, since we're on the topic, if this foot comes to his shoulder,
that whole arm is dead until he can get it either over top or underneath, and this buys me time to transition my left hand either to this collar or this collar. If it's this collar, we're going to be looking to play collar sleeve. If it's this collar, we're going to be looking to play collar spider here, both of which we'll get to a little later. So again, the three purposes of the leg lasso are, the four purposes, I should say. The one we're talking about in the next few techniques is attacking. But the three main purposes that we have to start with are defending your guard, using it as a defensive tool. 2, breaking their posture, and those definitely overlap. If you break their posture, it's very hard for them to pass. And then the third is in order to transfer grips. And again, that's a very good defensive tool. You can use it to break their posture, and you'll often try to break their posture when you're trying to transfer your grips. But when you want to transition from one grip to another, it's important that they're tied up, that they can't pass in those moments, and very valuable to start transitioning from grips when you've got the lasso. And then, of course, as we just mentioned, we want to attack. There are lots of awesome attacks that we're about to take a look at, but you have to have that understanding of the purpose of the leg lasso before we really jump into the attacks and just think about submitting and sweeping without necessarily having a foundation to build those attacks on. So looking at a few of the finer details on the hand and foot positioning, if I'm going for a shallow lasso, all I really need is the sole of the foot to be somewhere on their shoulder here. This is going to allow me to keep Stephan away, which is going to be important when he starts really pressuring in. So it could be from an open guard, and this is actually very useful even when he's deep into my guard. Another leg position is where we're coming just behind the tricep. So it's important that my foot is flexed here. And one very important point on my hand that we need to talk about right now is, so I'll get this grip, but when Stephan wants to break my grip, he's going to loop this hand to the outside here, and that's going to start challenging my grip. So from another angle, and we'll talk about how to stop this, but the easiest or the first step in stopping this, one step is to come put with your knuckles behind your own thigh. So now when he starts twirling, that gets very hard. One thing you can do that will make it even harder is turn this way. So as he goes, you turn this way, and now this, if he's super strong, can start affecting your fingers. Here, it's the fingers act as one, and it gets a little stronger. In terms of my foot position, it's important that I'm pulling in here. Generally, the point of the lasso is to pull your partner in. You notice pushing away doesn't really do much for Stephan, or to Stephan. I can create a little bit of push, but for the most part, I'm trying to pull in. And so it's important that I hide my knuckles right here. Well, we can take a look a little later at some advanced applications of that, but we're pulling in and hiding those knuckles right here. Now, with the deep, let's rotate. With the deep lasso, which is not as common, but it can be useful for some of our attacks, we're shooting this leg super deep, and we want our foot to be on their shoulder or on their back. So here you can see it's on his back, and I pull him in. This is going to give me control over the whole body, which when we're looking to sweep him, again, we need that principle of I need his weight to be over me so that I can manipulate him. So the 3 leg positions, it's important to know. Our hand position is important, that you're hiding your hand behind your thigh, so it's hard for them to loop out, because as they get to a high level, they're going to be doing that right away. So let's take a look at the leg lasso a little bit more before we jump into our attacks. So it'll help, to get a little context, it'll help to see some of the attacks we can use. So, for example, why would I come deep here? We said, and I'll get Stephan to stand for now, but we said that when we go deep, we can use this to control their posture. We can pull them down. Well, there's a sweep we're going to take a look at later where we use the Holetta sweep principle to break their posture and knock them over. Why would we go shallow? We saw that we go shallow as a defensive tool. So if we're in Del Hiva and Stephan stuffs one of my legs, this can allow me to create space to free that leg. Why would we go to the medium position? The medium position is where we're going to get really heavy on that leg, but it's also going to allow us to start attacking a lot of sweeps. We can play our slingshot sweep, which we'll take a look at, but the idea is it gives me kind of an in-between control. It's both a defensive tool and it's an offensive tool that makes it hard for the person to pass with, but allows you to start creating openings for different attacks. So our first attack from the leg lasso is swinging kite sweep. And we did look at this in volume 2, but it's worth mentioning here because particularly when our partner's on their knees, this is one attack we can go to right away. So we're here, we get our leg lasso, and now we want to start attacking. How are we going to do that? We're going to pull our leg lasso out and swing over to this side. Now we're in perfect position for our kite sweep. We bring their bicep over our knee, we open our chest and take them over. So it's really just a kite sweep, but it's even more powerful because we have the advantage of that swing. So we're here, we unwind and come over.
It's kind of like punching somebody like this.
Totally.
Because you're unwinding your leg and that helps build the momentum.
Exactly. The kite sweep's a super powerful sweep, but if we can get a little bit more of momentum to start, it gets that much more powerful, and even more so if they're standing. Unwinding gives us the ability to potentially knock them over. Now again, you won't always knock them over with that, but this is one of the few versions of the kite sweep where you have that chance.
This clip actually came from an entire instructional set that Elliot and I did together called the Spider Guard Masterclass. And there are 3 ways you can get it. The first 2, DVD and online streaming, is from my website. If you go to graplarts.com/spiderguard, you can get to it there. You can check it out. You can find out what's on it. But the best way, for most people anyway, is to get it as a series of modules in the new BJJ Master app. The BJJ Master app is an umbrella app that I've got. It's completely free, and it's got all of my instructionals within it as modules that you can look at individually. And the best part about that is that each of those modules, you can preview a ton of the material before you buy it. For the Spider Guard Masterclass, it's 15 techniques that you can check out completely for free. 15 techniques just like this one that you can learn from, that you can study, and then decide if you want to get the app. I don't want to give you something that you don't want. I want you to want whatever it is that you maybe end up getting from me. So check out the Spider Guard Masterclass either at graplarts.com/spiderguard for the DVD and the online version, or go to graplarts.com/master app where you can download the Master app and then find the Spider Guard Masterclass within. All right? Take care. Good luck with your training.